Shetland, so damp end of the day in these areas, a lot of cloud as well. But for the rest of Scotland, actually particularly further south, we've got clear skies going into the evening. Northern Ireland, some patchy cloud about, 1 or 2 light showers, but mostly dry. And for the bulk of England and Wales, actually, it's clear spells, although some thicker cloud will be remaining across parts of Wales, central and southern England. That cloud coming and going through the course of the night. And because we've also got this keen breeze coming up from the south and southeast, which is a relatively warm wind from the near continent, well, we're going to see frost and fog become much more isolated. In fact, most places will avoid a frost with temperatures staying at 5 to 9 Celsius. The rain across Shetland tends to ease later in the night as well. So for most, it's a dry and bright start to Sunday. Plenty of fine weather out there. Fairly breezy along the south coast, and the cloud across Cornwall and parts of Devon tends to thicken through the morning. But any showery rain tends to be restricted to the Scillies, perhaps the far southwest of Cornwall. There'll also be outbreaks of rain returning to the north of Scotland. These are the exceptions. For the vast majority, it is another dry, bright and warm day.
We'll see a cold snap, which will quickly develop into a warm front. Boxed Boiler Repairs, sponsors of weather on GB News.
You could have £17,777 in tax-free cash to play with this spring. Cash to spend on anything you like. And if that wasn't enough, we're also going to give you not 1, but 2 sought-after designer watches and the latest Mulberry handbag. How would winning that sound? For a chance to win the cash, 2 watches and a designer bag, text cash to 63232. 1 entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
One former Royal Marine has just set up a state-of-the-art new fitness brand which combines fitness, dating, clubbing. It's all in a very unique experience.
Yes, Will McLaren and co-founder Toby Spooner have managed to fuse well-being, dating and what they call community building in their new full-day event, Metrix, which also includes high-intensity workouts. Will and Toby are joining us now in the studio.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, gents. Thank you for joining us. I'm very interested in this because all I seem to see at the minute is high rocks. But from what I've read about Metrix, this seems like the new upgraded version. What can you tell us about it? Tell our viewers all about Metrix.
Well, it is a fitness competition, but we are combining the music and production element. Also, we want it to be quite a social event as well. So we want people to come, meet each other and have a great day out.
So what does that actually mean? Tell us a little bit more in detail. Toby, just tell us a little bit about what's involved.
So, in short, it's an immersive fitness competition.
Yeah.
So you can do a partner workout, you can bring a friend, or we can actually make people. So we're adding that dating element.
Well, it was Valentine's yesterday.
Precisely.
So
right.
is this going to be the new Tinder? People going along to Metrix and meeting their future partner?
Well, exactly that. So we've done a load of research into it, and what we've found is that exercise is slowly becoming more of a dating scene.
So is it, I assume, some behind the scenes of what Metrix will look like? Because it's still to start, isn't it? Is it March it begins?
Yeah, so the 1st and 2nd of March, so it's in 2 weeks, at a magazine in North Greenwich.
We've known each other for a fair while, but we kind of put our heads together. So we've worked in fitness for years, and we found that music really drives performance. And people love music. People will come to our classes, they'll come away and they'll say, music was so good. And it just elevates the experience. We said, how can we put this on a scale tenfold?
GB News, the People's Channel.
A very good morning to you. I'm Sophie Reaper alongside the fabulous Adam and Cherry, and this is Saturday Morning Live.
Good to be with you as always. Lots coming your way this morning, so let's take a look. Reform UK Chief Whip Lee Anderson has released a new statement this morning after a civil war has broken out within Reform UK. Party suspending MP Rupert Lowe after complaints of serious bullying and physical threat. Allegations he denies. Rupert Lowe has just responded and we'll have the latest.
And it's been another busy week in the Oval Office with President Trump at the heart of negotiations to end the Ukraine-Russia war. But what's next? We'll go live to New York to speak to Nelson Aspen.
Who will be crowned top dog? Crufts 2025 takes place in Birmingham. Our reporter Jack Carson will be there with the latest.
Well, 24,000 dogs at Crufts over these 4 days that the event has been on. In all shapes and sizes, only one can be top dog.
And today is International Women's Day. We'll be hearing from an award-winning female entrepreneur who has invented an important new app for families with food.
And of course, we'll have all the day's top stories with journalist and broadcaster Esther Stanhope and podcast host Lewis Oakley. There they are. Welcome to Saturday Morning Live, only on GB News.
Well, we first want to bring you a bit of a brief breaking update on that story from the centre of London this morning, because emergency services have been called to the Palace of Westminster, where a man has scaled one of the buildings.
Yeah, a video on social media shows a barefoot man standing on a ledge holding a Palestine flag several metres up Elizabeth Tower. If you're watching on television, you can see him there still now. We'll keep you updated throughout the programme as this develops.
And don't forget, of course, we want to hear from you today. It's all about what you want to say. We want to hear your views on our stories. We want to hear your peaks of the week. Of course, send in your highlights of the week. We want to hear those. And of course, we've got Jack Carson live at Crufts, so make sure you're sending your dog pictures in. That's our favourite part, isn't it?
Every week is my favourite part of the show.
We always find a way to bring dogs in.
We do.
Somehow.
I don't know how we do it, but somehow, easy this week, it's Crufts. But
exactly.
Anyway, before we do all that, before we get to the dogs and all the breaking news, Lewis Mackenzie has all your news headlines.
Thank you very much. Good morning. It's just after 10 o'clock. I'm Lewis Mackenzie here in the GB newsroom. Now, let's go back to that breaking news. A man has climbed Big Ben draped in a Palestinian flag. As you can see on your screens, emergency services are already on the scene. It's reported the incident started at around 8 a.m. this morning. A pro-Palestine protest is set to begin outside the BBC offices at around 1 p.m. today. It's currently unclear if the two events are related. We'll, of course, bring you the very latest as we have it in the GB newsroom. Some more breaking news for you now. At least 12 people have been injured in a shooting at a pub in Toronto. 4 victims have non-life-threatening injuries. The others' conditions are unknown. Toronto police say the suspect was wearing a black balaclava and was seen fleeing in a silver car and is still at large. Once again, we'll bring you the very latest as we have it. The Reform MP Rupert Lowe has been suspended from the party amid allegations he made physical threats against the party chairman, Zia Youssef. Mr Youssef confirmed the party had also received complaints from 2 female employees about serious bullying in Mr Lowe's parliamentary and constituency offices. In a statement, Mr Lowe said he was disappointed but not surprised to learn of what he said were false allegations. He also says that the allegations of bullying at his offices are not about him, and he's taking legal advice. The Metropolitan Police have confirmed it received complaints of a verbal threat made by a 67-year-old man, and officers are carrying out an assessment to determine what further action may be required. On to the next story. Members of the Russian spy ring are facing lengthy jail terms for one of what's been called the largest and most complex enemy operations ever uncovered on UK soil. The 3 Bulgarian nationals were found guilty at the Old Bailey of spying on an industrial scale and putting lives of a nation's security at risk. Commander Dominic Murphy, the head of the Metropolitan Police Counter-Terrorism Command, detailed the threat they posed.
From everything we've discovered, the threat was quite broad, in fact. So, yes, they were gathering information. It's what you might call lifestyle surveillance against individuals here in the UK. My concern has always been, though, what was that lifestyle surveillance going to lead to? And we have seen a long history of the Russian state conducting operations here in the United Kingdom, including lethal threat operations like the investigation in Salisbury. So deeply worrying about the physical and information challenges created.
Donald Trump says he's working hard to get Ukraine peace deal as soon as possible. The president was speaking in the White House after another major wave of Russian attacks on its neighbour overnight. Mr. Trump says that Ukraine was taking tremendous punishment and a peace deal was urgently needed.
Settle the war, get it finished. Because if I'm not here, nobody's going to settle it. And President Macron has said that, and everybody said that. The prime ministers and presidents. We're pushing very hard. That's all I'm thinking about now. As far as the question about security later, that's the easy part. The hard part is getting it settled. We got to get them.
Back on track, Eurostar services have resumed today following the full line cancellation due to an unexploded World War II bomb. Operators were forced to cancel all 32 trains scheduled to run between London and Paris after the unwelcome discovery of an explosive was found near railway tracks in Saint-Denis. Today marks International Women's Day. The annual celebration aims to champion women's achievements across all aspects of life. Speaking at a visit at RAF Northolt, Chancellor Rachel Reeves met with women personnel in the armed forces.
Well, it's fantastic at RAF at Northolt to be able to meet with women personnel in our armed forces on our front line. International Women's Day is an opportunity to celebrate how far we've come, but also as a government, and for me personally as the first ever female Chancellor of the Exchequer, to redouble our efforts to ensure that we have opportunities for women, which is why we are going further and faster on childcare and breakfast clubs to help parents, but particularly women, balance work and family life.
Tropical storm Alfred has made landfall on Australia's eastern coast. Tens of thousands of people have been evacuated, with more than 300,000 homes left without power. The country's Bureau of Meteorology has warned the intense rainfall could lead to flash flooding as the major storm moves inland. Authorities in the United States have confirmed that Hollywood actor Gene Hackman died of natural causes a week after his wife Betsy died from a hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. It's been claimed that Hackman was not aware his wife had died because of his advanced Alzheimer's. Their bodies were found in their home in New Mexico last week, along with their pet dog. And finally, 4 European brown bears at Whipsnade Zoo have woken up from hibernation. The bears, Mana, Minnie, Naya and Cinderella, have finally gotten out of bed after 3 months of deep slumber, signalling the start of UK spring. Those are the latest GB News headlines. I'm Lewis Mackenzie. More from me in an hour's time.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Thank you very much for that, Lewis. Just a brief update on that breaking news this morning. Emergency services have been called to the Palace of Westminster, where a man has scaled one of the buildings there.
Yeah, those watching on television will see the footage we've got live. That man scaled the Elizabeth Tower, which houses Big Ben. People are pointing that out, that's correct. He's holding a Palestine flag. He's several metres up the tower, and we're going to bring you all the latest as we get it throughout the show. We've also got a statement from the Metropolitan Police in the last few moments. They say at 7:24 a.m. on Saturday, March the 8th, officers were alerted to a man climbing up the Elizabeth Tower at the Houses of Parliament. Officers are at the scene working to bring the incident to a safe conclusion. They are being assisted by the London Fire Brigade and the London Ambulance Service.
But we'll be bringing you all the latest on that throughout the show. Now, moving on to politics, and MP Rupert Lowe has been suspended from Reform UK amid allegations he made physical threats against the party chairman, Zia Yousaf.
Well, Reform UK Chief Whip Lee Anderson released a new statement a short time ago saying that he bears no malice towards Rupert, and to remove the whip was a deeply painful thing to do. But delivering for our country must come first, and no man is bigger than our party. Mr Lowe has since responded, saying that what Mr Anderson said was simply untrue and that Mr Anderson was clearly not a friend.
Yes, and party chairman Zia Yousaf confirmed the party had also received complaints from 2 female employees about serious bullying in Mr Lowe's parliamentary and constituency offices.
Now, reacting last night, Mr Lowe said he was disappointed but not surprised to learn of what he said were false allegations, and he also said that the allegations of bullying at his offices are not about him. Well, joining us now is former Conservative advisor Charlie Rowley to talk about this. Charlie, what do you make of all this? This is a bit of a car crash, whichever side of the fence you sit, whether you're Team Nigel or Team Rupert Lowe. It doesn't reflect well on the party at all, does it?
Well, I don't know about you two, but I reached for the popcorn yesterday. Wasn't it juicy? Not seen anything like that since Suella Braverman resigned, I think, from Rishi Sunak's government with the scathing resignation letter. It was quite something. But clearly there's been a breakdown in relationships there between not just Nigel, it seems to me, but Rupert and everybody else. Now, he's come out today to say that the claims, some of the more substantial claims that 2 women have made allegations against him of inappropriate behaviour. He denies that. That's something that needs to be looked into. He also denies the fact that he hasn't cooperated with the investigation that's been taking place. Now, whether that's the investigation where there's been the appointment of a KC, a senior lawyer that's come in to look into it, or whether it's an internal party investigation, that needs to be clarified. But ultimately, it's a public spat between a man who's very well off, who's a former football chief executive and chairman. He's got a lot to say. He's had a big following since he's become an MP. And any kind of division in public is not good. But Reform are going to have to get used to this because they're ahead in the polls. They are going to, with that, have increased scrutiny, which is obviously absolutely the right thing to do. And so I think they're going to have to get their house in order if there are any other allegations out there about any, whether it's members, candidates, other MPs. The Reform Party, I think, are really trying to clean up their act before any election takes place.
Now, this morning, Charlie, the party's chief whip, Lee Anderson, has said that it was deeply painful having to suspend the whip from Rupert Lowe. It's not just deeply painful, though. It could be a PR disaster for Reform, this.
Yeah, it could be. And I think that was quite telling, Sophie, you're absolutely right, because it shows to us all there, I think that there's more that's happened behind the scenes than just these particular allegations, maybe. I mean, Lee indicated in his statement that he'd spent a lot of time, and he said he'd bent over backwards, I think, for Rupert Lowe at times. So that suggests that there's been more going on behind the scenes than what has currently come to light. So that's fascinating in itself. But you're right, when you've got big personalities that are exchanging their views through the media, online, on Twitter, X, and in full public view, it's not particularly dignified. I remember, and I'm sure you'll have other advisors on this show and this channel throughout the day that will tell you that whenever there's a crisis in politics, you want to play down all the divisions as much as possible and highlight no end or everything that unites you. At the minute, it seems as though it's just quite a lot of division within Reform. So somebody needs to get a grip of it. The reality is, Reform wouldn't have 5 MPs and wouldn't have had 4 million votes without Nigel Farage. I don't think there is any real path to victory for Reform without Nigel. Nigel isn't going anywhere, nor should he. So I think, people need to rally around behind the leader. He probably needs to come out and to say, look, Rupert's a very big personality. There are clearly some issues there. They need to be looked into. Full cooperation will be needed. And who knows, Rupert might get the whip back if everything's cleaned up. So they need to put a lid on it. They need to put a bit of a positive spin on it, if that's possible at this stage. But that'll be even harder to do if they keep going down the direction that they're going, where it's just a public route.
Charlie, thank you very much for that. Thanks for joining us live on GB News. That was Charlie Rowley. Really appreciate it. Now, to look through the top stories of the day, we're delighted to be joined by journalist and broadcaster Esther Stanhope and podcast host Lewis Oakley. Good morning, guys. How are we doing?
Good morning.
Very, very good. Now, do we want to... Sophie, what do we want to do first with this one? Do we want to do
Should we take a look at our peaks of the week?
I thought you might say that. Yeah, this is the best part of the show.
It's our favourite segment now.
Yeah.
Shall I go first this week?
Yeah. So, by the way, for those if you haven't seen it before, I'm sure everybody has, but it's the highlight of the week. Your personal highlight of the week can be something as small as buying new pillows, as it was for me a couple of weeks ago, or something slightly more exciting. But what have you been up to this week, Sophie?
My peak of the week this week is that I got the opportunity to visit the Royal School of Ballet and take part in a class. There we are.
There's a picture.
With the lovely Angela Rippon and her partner on Strictly when she was on it, Kai Widrington. We had a lovely day. We went to various different dance classes, but the best bit was getting to take part in a Swan Lake ballet class at the Royal School of Ballet. It was very fun. Yeah, lovely day.
Fantastic. As is the case every week, mine is slightly more mundane.
I always feel awful.
I know, but I've booked a holiday to Spain in July, so we're looking forward to that.
That's always nice to have something in the diary.
Yeah.
And where is it you said you were going?
It's near Malaga.
Near Malaga.
Yeah,
that'd be lovely.
Yeah.
That'd be hot that time of year.
Fine.
Plenty
of Factor 50. No, do I tan? A load of rubbish. Of course I don't. Plenty of Factor 50. Guys, your peaks of the week, and then we'll get to the serious stuff.
So my peak of the week, I've been doing broadcasts all week for International Women's Day. That's why I'm wearing purple.
That's today, isn't it?
It's today, March the 8th. I think it's been going 150 years or longer. And the action, the hashtag this year is Accelerate Action. So let's see you accelerate action. This is the sign for International Women's Day.
Okay.
Go on, Lewis.
Yeah. And the message is, look, don't get FOMO if you're not celebrating International Women's Day because you're not a woman. However, we all need to celebrate. This is for allies, this is for men. The only way we're going to move the dial when it comes to women in the workplace, getting more women in the boardroom, because there are under a quarter of women in boardrooms globally, the only way we're going to move the dial is getting men to be involved. So it's been a really good week.
Mine was Pancake Day. So I grew up, my nan, literally would stand at that stove for hours just doing loads of pancakes. And now I've got young kids. I'm like, I want to carry on the tradition, but I am terrible at them.
Favourite topping?
Traditional, so lemon and sugar.
Yeah,
that's what we had.
But I've mastered it now. I finally mastered it. They came out good in the end.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that
so
really is the peak of the week. Right, shall we get on to some stories? Any preference on where we start this morning? Shall we... This Guardian online story, London councils buy 140 million of property to move homeless people out of the city.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. So I was reading this story and trying to work out, do I agree with this, do I not? So there's 850 properties in towns and cities that have been brought since 2017. So actually that's a long time. It's not actually that much money if you think of how much money government and local government spend on things. I mean, to me, it sounds like a cost-effective way to sort of tackle homelessness, and it seems to be a bit more of an immediate situation. So you've got these houses that are there. They're obviously cheaper to buy because they're outside of major cities.
Yeah.
I guess some of the arguments against it is this not social cleansing. You're saying we don't want homeless people in our big cities, shift them off to smaller towns elsewhere, and I think there's probably a bit of a concern there. And the other one is about disrupting networks for people. So, well, if you're moving someone out of the city, their support network is gone. But, if you're homeless, that support network is not as strong as it could be. So, I don't know. I think it's fine to do this. I think you just need a bit of a plan. Move them out of the city, fine. Give them temporary accommodation. But then what is the plan to help them, be self-sufficient going forward?
What do you make of this?
OK, I don't think it's very much money. 140 million, it sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it? 140 million pounds, right? But if you think about it, in terms of housing, it's a tiny amount. I think it's a really, really good news story that we are building affordable housing. We can do so much better. And now there's really interesting little box-sized apartments that you can buy that have a mixture of usage, so resi, office and all that kind of stuff. It's really interesting in London. When you walk around, I live in central London, there's a lot of building and a lot of interesting buildings, resi, office, community buildings going up. I just want more. 140 million is, if you think about it, is nothing, is it?
In the context of government spending, it's
tiny.
A small amount. Should we jump into another story whilst we've got a little bit of time? We were interested in this. Britain's snacking less as they drift back to the office after the pandemic. They're actually snacking at home 50% less in 2024 compared to 2020. So we're getting a little bit healthier.
15%, I should say.
Yeah, 15%.
So if you...
we've not completely gone.
Well,
I meant to say 15, but maybe I haven't had enough coffee this morning. 15%.
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm surprised it's not 50%, to be honest, because we were all comfort eating in the pandemic in 2020 and comfort drinking. So I'm not surprised that this has gone down. And I think, you know, a lot of us now are more hybrid working, so we're not at home all the time now anyway. There is that more of a balance. And I think that people are more health conscious. We're more aware of health and wellness than we ever were after being locked in our homes for years. So I think that is normal. I do slightly worry, it's not mentioned in the story, but I do wonder, is Ozempic playing a role in here where people just haven't got the appetite for it anymore?
So over lockdown, you were either a hunk, a chunk or a drunk. And I think...
I know which I was.
I could have...
All three.
I think I was all three. But if you think about it, so the twats, if you don't mind me saying, the Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday workers, if you know what I mean.
Thank you for
Tuesday... Sorry, that is an acronym, right? Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, right? So we've got people working in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so they're not at home. It's not really surprising that they're not eating snacks at home if they're eating snacks in the office. All I can say is this: I found it really hard not to snack when I was at home during lockdown. I found it really hard.
Too easy.
What was your snack of choice?
Anything, whatever.
But I would say there's all this stuff about working from home and they're not working as hard as they could. I would find the days I work from home are the days I forget to eat because I'm just so busy and focused, and then I'm like, oh my God, it's 4 o'clock and I haven't eaten. Like, that happens so often.
I wish that was me.
We're going to return to some stories later on, so guys, thanks for joining us. We're just going to go back to Westminster briefly now, where emergency services have been called to the Palace of Westminster. A man has scaled one of the buildings, video showing, and we're going to show it shortly. There we go. A man stood on a ledge holding a Palestine flag. He's been there for quite some time now. He's several metres up Elizabeth Tower, which of course houses Big Ben. And obviously, as I said, we're going to come back to this throughout the show, but you can see him there. He's still there. And emergency services on the scene.
Yeah, you can also see just there on the side of the shot, for anyone watching on television, that they've now got a cherry picker up there to perhaps try and, I don't know whether they're going to try and forcibly bring him down or coax him down, sway him down.
I mean, unbelievable. All this will come out.
Quite a crowd gathering as well.
Of course. How did he get through there?
Not what you'd usually see on your Saturday commute into London.
No, absolutely not. And the short questions will be asked and we'll know in the fullness of time. But how on earth did he get in there and scale that building? That is a massive security, but there's no way he should be able to get away with that.
Maybe by the end of the show we'll have him back down, but we will
of course bring you
all the latest. So we'll bring you the latest on that. Thank you to Esther and Lewis. We'll catch up with you in the next hour. Still to come later in the show, we'll be joined by former Atomic Kitten star Natasha Hamilton.
But next we will cross live to New York to get the latest from Nelson Aspen after another tumultuous week for US President Donald Trump. This is Saturday Morning Live on GB News, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking... This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again. Down to earth. It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it? And most importantly, honest. Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them. They catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
Could Doctor Who be for the chop after more than 60 years? Well, here to explain why there's a lot of rumour, a buzz about this story is the GB News entertainment editor, Alex Davies. Alex, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
What on earth is going on?
Well, this has all sort of come around because reports have emerged that the lead actor, Ncuti Gatwa, is planning on leaving. He's only been there for 2 years, but apparently he's already eyeing up the exit door. He wants to reportedly set up a new life in LA. He's got countless Hollywood opportunities lined up for him, according to reports. And the reports are also suggesting his team aren't too fond of some of the woke storylines that have emerged in the last few years. The series has come under fire a number of times. There's been several storylines that have been criticised for pushing certain narratives. They cast a black actor as Isaac Newton, for one. There are other examples, including misgendering aliens.
Do aliens have gender?
Well, you'd be surprised, apparently. There's one called a meep that David Tennant, who briefly reprised his role before Ncuti, he got the meep, their gender, wrong and was pulled up about it by a trans character.
Just very forced, it seems. Very forced. Oh, we need to get in the gender nouns and the pronouns. But there was also a bit of heat just for having a female doctor, wasn't there? Jodie Whittaker.
There was, but I feel like that's always going to get heat. When you take a fictional character, a fictional institution, which has been white men predominantly, and you put something that goes against that, you're going to get attention. This one in particular, like I say, with these sort of storylines, has garnered more attention than most.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
I don't think we're going to get
Welcome
to that
back
story.
now to the States, where it's been another busy week in the Oval Office for President Donald Trump.
Yes, amongst suspending tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada, the president has had plenty to say on ending the war between Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah, speaking last night, President Trump claimed Russia's bombing blitz of Ukraine is what anybody else would do. Well, let's take a listen to what he had to say.
I want to settle the war, get it finished, because if I'm not here, nobody's going to settle it. And President Macron has said that, and everybody said that. The prime ministers and presidents. We're pushing very hard. That's all I'm thinking about now. As far as the question about security later, that's the easy part. The hard part is getting it settled. We got to get them.
Well, with us now from New York is Nelson Aspen. Nelson, thank you very much for joining us. What do you make of Donald Trump's latest moves on this? Are we closer to peace? Are we further away? What's going on?
I think we're going to have to be, because President Trump is getting obviously frustrated with this. It was looking very encouraging last week until the Zelensky in the Oval Office debacle. And now he has said in a very ominous tone that if we don't get this resolved soon, he dropped those magic, terrifying words, World War III. This has been an approach that he keeps going back to, and he has threatened massive sanctions against Russia unless they come to the table. And those are President Trump's words. They must come to the table. And interestingly, he also added the fact that he feels that Russia is easier to deal with at present than Ukraine. So he is also saying that he's cutting military aid to Ukraine. They obviously will have great difficulty continuing the effort without that. So I think a deal will have to be in the works soon, guys.
What needs to be different this time, Nelson? Obviously, the last time Zelensky was in the Oval Office, there was a lot of controversy, and it led, in fact, to that the press conference afterwards being cancelled. What needs to change? How do things need to be different this time to get that deal over the line?
Well, just like Trump said, Russia has to come to the table, so must Ukraine. And that looked to be in jeopardy after President Zelensky was effectively ejected from the White House. But he has since said that he is willing to come back. He is willing to talk about the minerals deal, and getting those three major parties, the U.S., the Ukraine, and Russia, to at least have a conversation will be a major first step that will accelerate it greatly. I mean, you know, President Trump is worried not only about that, but he's got to deal with the Middle East as well.
Nelson, very quickly, you mentioned the Middle East. I just want to ask you about President Trump's comments on Hamas. He basically threatened to attack them again unless their leadership would come to the table and make some sort of deal with them. What did you make of that?
In very strong language. And to think of a United States president negotiating with Hamas is extraordinary, but that's what he said. And what's interesting is he is cutting funding to universities here in the United States that he perceives as being anti-Semitic. And it's sort of taken to the next level here at Columbia University in New York City this week. It wasn't just a case of students doing a pro-Palestine protest. They were actually pro-Hamas, handing out Hamas propaganda, literature, encouraging that. And so Trump was like, that's it. I am pulling $400 million in grants to the university. And as you know, if you take the money away from universities, they're going to come to the table, even going so far as to revoking a student's visa and planning to deport them from the United States. So they've had enough.
Nelson, we're going to leave it there, but thank you very much for joining us. That was Nelson Aspin live from New York. Now, sticking with the US for a moment, because vast numbers of American tourists visit Scotland year after year and are taking an interest in their Scottish ancestry more than ever.
Indeed, from setting foot in their clan's castle to sourcing their ancient tartan. Some are even enlisting help to scour public records, topping up the economy by 1.2 billion, yes, billion, in 2023.
Yeah, our Scotland reporter Tony Maguire has been finding out how our curious cousins from across the Atlantic join the dots of their family tree. Take a look.
Scotland is a bucket list location for adventurous visitors seeking a historical vibe. The US is home to around 25 million Americans of Scottish descent, and many make the trip to uncover their family history, to the tune of 1.2 billion being added to the Scottish economy. Visit Scotland's Director of Strategy, Kat Lever, says when they arrive in country, Scotland's rich living history engulfs them with wonder.
There is that 38% who specifically come because of this ancestral link, but then when they get here, it is about that kind of living, breathing, touching, feeling everything that their ancestors may once have done. So not just the places, but potentially tracing their clan links back to a castle or a historic site, or even to their tartan, their family tartan.
President Trump is probably the most high-profile American who speaks openly about his Scottish links. His mother, Mary Ann MacLeod, grew up speaking Gaelic on the Isle of Lewis before following her siblings to the United States on the RMS Transylvania one day after her 18th birthday. In fact, genealogy can confidently trace family history as far back as the late 1700s. And around 2/5 of American visitors to Scotland seek those same ancestral revelations, doing so through genealogy services like Kilted Cousins. Yvonne Kavanagh says her client's excitement peaks when a trip through family history takes an unexpected turn.
They do tend to get quite excited, especially if you find out something quite unusual. For example, on one occasion I found out that one of the great-grandfathers had drowned in Greenock, and when I looked into it a bit more carefully, I found out he was hailed as a local hero in the local newspaper at the time because he'd actually drowned by trying to help somebody else.
Of the 800,000 American tourists touching down in Scotland, a third are repeat visitors and nearly half plan to return in the next 5 years. Pop culture icons like Braveheart and Outlander have definitely played a role, but hundreds of years of shared history will always be the best runway to welcome honorary Scots home from across the Atlantic. Tony Maguire, GB News.
Well, thank you very much for that beautiful report with those shots, wasn't it, from Tony there?
Sweeping vistas.
Indeed.
They're great.
Now, we're just going to go back to Westminster briefly, where emergency services have been called to the palace there, where a man has scaled one of the buildings. For anyone watching on television, you can see that shot there of him on the Elizabeth Tower.
Yeah, I mean, he's been there for 3 hours now because, as we're about to read this Met Police statement, at 7:24 a.m. on Saturday, the 8th of March, officers were alerted to a man climbing up the Elizabeth Tower at the Houses of Parliament. Officers are at the scene working to bring the incident to a safe conclusion. They are being assisted by the London Fire Brigade and the London Ambulance Service. And of course, we'll bring you all the latest on that as it develops. But as we said earlier, it's pretty shocking he managed to scale that building, get over there. That's supposed to be one of the most secure places in the country. But there we are. Anything changes, we will bring that to you. In the meantime, up next, we're going to go live to Crufts, where our reporter Jack Carson is having the time of his life. I'm so jealous.
You can guess his peak of the week.
I'm so jealous. This is Saturday Morning Live on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, Will, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, Will, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Don't forget to keep sending me and Sophie questions about topics in the news this week. We'll chat them through with our panel and our guests. Also, your peaks of the week.
Peaks of the week, send them in. gbviews@gbnews.com. I finally learned that now. I just know it now.
Yeah.
gbviews@gbnews.com, or you can write them in on Your Say on the GB News website.
Yeah.
Also, your dog pictures. You have been sending them in. Anne has sent in this lovely picture of her dog this morning. I think we can see that now.
Yeah.
There it is. Anne, thank you so much for that.
So Anne said, thought you might like to see my rescued dog Bianca all the way from Transylvania.
Yeah. She's a Romanian sheepdog.
She was in such a bad condition. She had to spend 4 months in the vet in Transylvania. Then she went into foster care for weeks before she was well enough to travel to the UK. There she is.
Oh, well, Anne, thank you so much for sending that in, and keep sending those in. And, of course, your peaks of the week, and we'll be reading them out throughout the rest of the show. So more of that to come. But now to someone whose peak of the week is also dog-related. We're going to join Jack Carson, because Crufts 2025 has reached its 3rd day. Pooches from all over the country are competing for the coveted Best in Show award.
Yeah, the competition continues in different groups today before the final day tomorrow, a big day tomorrow. And someone who has been meeting and greeting all the dogs for GB News this week is our West Midlands reporter, Jack Carson. He's at Crufts. Jack, what have you got for us? Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic.
This is
who
my
have you got?
new peak of the week.
I'd about to say it's not a difficult one for me to choose what my peak of the week is. I'm here over at the Pets as Therapy stand because this is the great thing about Crufts. You have got those 24,000 dogs entering those really tough, heated competitions that are going also for Best in Show tomorrow, but you've also got loads of dog charities as well. We're here at Pets as Therapy. Stephen Wibberley, who's the Chief Executive, joins me now. Stephen, just tell us about what the charity is and what you do.
Yeah, well, we're from Pets as Therapy, and we've got 5,000 amazing dogs like Ben here and their volunteers like James all around the UK. And our dogs go and visit people in hospitals, care homes, schools, and they bring the unconditional joy, comfort and happiness that only pets can bring us. As pet lovers, we know what a difference time with a dog can make. So we go into places where people don't necessarily have the dogs with them and bring that unconditional happiness.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is the impact of a therapy dog? What can they do for people? I say, whether it's schools, whether it's hospital.
Well, in schools, we've got a programme called Read to Dogs with children who perhaps struggling with reading, perhaps have additional needs, and they can spend time reading their school books to an unconditional dog who won't complain about their reading, who just enjoys listening. Whereas in a hospital, we might be walking around, people have been in hospital for several months having their treatment and are missing a family pet. And it just gives that moment of magic, breaking up their day, and being able to spend time with a gorgeous dog, a bit like Ben.
And James joins us now. James is one of the volunteers here. James, Ben here is 9 years old, so how does a dog become a therapy dog?
So generally, potential volunteers know that they've got a special dog. Obviously, we all think our dogs are special, but generally in terms of behaviour, so the dogs themselves are assessed for their temperament, and we as handlers are assessed for our sort of capability to keep our dogs under control, which depending on the dog is easier or harder, and it's a fairly simple process. Once your dog and you are accepted for Pets as Therapy, we're then able to visit a long list of institutions that are asking for visits.
And so where's Ben visited? What kind of work has Ben done as a therapy dog?
We're based in Hampshire, and Ben and I visit a local school every Thursday, and we also visit Southampton General Hospital on a Sunday morning. We actually have about 14 therapy dog volunteers at Southampton General, visiting different wards, different days. But Ben and I visit the older people on Sunday mornings.
Fantastic. And I guess, Steve, as well, is it necessarily breed specific, or can it, is it that temperament as James was just telling us about?
It's all about the temperament. We've got everything from Great Danes to Chihuahuas on the pat books. So it's all about the temperament. And as James said, we meet all the dogs with their handlers to check they've got that loving nature. They're happy being fussed, as you can see with Ben here. They don't bark, bite, scratch, those sort of things. All about the temperament.
Right. Steve and James, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and thank you to Ben as well. You also would have seen Shep, the beautiful sheepdog as well. So it's absolutely fantastic here at Crufts. And I'm saying it's not just charities as well. There is all kinds of events here. Yesterday we caught up with the Hill Work to Music activity team.
We're part of the Hill Work to Music activities team, so we're demonstrating to the public what good fun dog dancing with your dog is. I mean, it's a bit weird maybe to some people, but to us it's really good fun, isn't it?
It's very, very hard work.
Yeah.
And I think it's great for the public to come in and see other activities, not just the breed showing. You can't force the dogs to do the type of things that we do. For instance, behind you, you'll see a lot of letterboxes. In the activity ring today, we're demonstrating how we can use everyday tasks such as posting a letter, and we get the dog to do it for us.
We're in the ring over there, and the public are right there. There's no fence or anything. When it goes wrong, they love it. They absolutely love it. The crowd absolutely, they're in fits, aren't they?
Yeah.
When it goes wrong, that's the best.
So there we see a dog being able to post a letter. I have to say, my beautiful little Jackapoo that Mum and Dad have got at home, Purdy, she can pick up a letter in her mouth. The trouble is she's not great at posting it. She's more all about ripping it apart before Dad can get a chance to open it. But here at Crufts, it's absolutely fantastic atmosphere. There's all kinds of different stalls, and we'll be bringing you more throughout the day.
Oh, Jack, I wish we could stay with you all day. And thank you so much to your camera operator there for showing us so much of those two beautiful dogs that were joining. It was perfect SML, wasn't it?
It was fantastic.
Absolutely perfect Saturday morning live content.
Jack, thanks very much, mate. Take care. We'll be bringing you more from Jack later on in the show, which I'm very pleased about because I'm jealous of Jack. I want to go across next
we
year.
both, as reporters as well, we're both very jealous of Jack there.
Yeah.
And of course, we have been asking you for your dog pictures this morning. We had a few more in. So first, we've got this picture of Ralph from our viewer Sadie.
Oh, there's Ralph. There he is.
Oh, Ralph.
Now, Ralph. And there's Bianca again. Anne has. That's from Anne. And then Joe. Oh, we're rattling through. Joe sent through a picture of Dylan as well, and then back to Ralph there.
So Ralph, Bianca, and Dylan. They're beautiful dogs. Thank you so much. Keep them coming in. Keep your peaks of the week coming in. We're going to be reading them out just after this, I think, aren't we?
Absolutely. Now, still to come, we'll be speaking to one award-winning female entrepreneur about her success to mark International Women's Day. But first, if you're in search of some winter sun, here is the forecast for some of the top European holiday destinations.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're curious about what the weather's doing further afield, well, across the Mediterranean, there's a lot of unsettled weather at the moment, especially Iberia into the south of France. But for Greece, mostly fine, sunny spells, still a bit of a breeze for the Greek islands. Italy, towards the south, yes, plenty of settled weather, but towards the north and northwest, as well as the south of France, unsettled, but not as unsettled as Portugal, Spain, Gibraltar, Madeira, where heavy showers and strong winds will be continuing through the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Well, up next, an inspirational female innovator, and we'll also be marking International Women's Day with former Atomic Kitten star Natasha Hamilton. This is Saturday Morning Live on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
I'm here in M. Manzi's, which is now the oldest surviving pie and eel shop in London. It's been open since 1892, and as you said in the intro there, it's really sort of a dying breed. One of the sister sites of this shop, the distant relative, own one of their own other shops in Deptford, and that closed on Saturday for the very last time. They've been open for over 100 years. So you clearly see that there's a declining, not necessarily a declining interest, that's a long way of putting it, but it's nowhere near as prevalent as it used to be. This was a staple of the East End, and it's now gone from about 300 shops in the Victorian times to under 40 now, and it's declining further and further. Now, also, a couple of months ago, I was in Basildon talking about a similar story with Richard Holden, trying to create a protected status for pie and mash to prevent sort of copycats from stealing the recipe and making it less authentic. So that is ongoing. There's clearly interest in it, and tourists enjoy coming in here. Hopefully, I'll get one of my own pies shortly and have another taste. But it would be a shame to see this go. It's not just about the pie and the taste and the flavour, which is fantastic. It's also about history and community. A lot of people come in here as regulars, so we're just shining a light on a crucial part of London's historic economy. It's a bit of good fun, and it certainly tastes very good as well. Demographics have changed, yeah, and actually a lot of the ownership, the people who would run these shops traditionally over the last few decades are moving out towards the west, they're moving towards Kent, they're moving towards Sussex. So there are demographic changes, and no doubt that is influencing it as well. And as I say, it's important to do stories like this just to remind people of London's history and why it's important to support these local businesses.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
down to earth,
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
and most importantly, honest,
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, It happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back now. We're just going to go back to Westminster again briefly because emergency services have been called to the Palace of Westminster. A man has, you can see there, if you're watching on television, a man has scaled Elizabeth Tower. He's been there for over 3 hours now. And a Met Police spokesperson said at 7:24 a.m. on Saturday, the 8th of March, officers were alerted to a man climbing up the Elizabeth Tower at the Houses of Parliament. Officers are at the scene working to bring the incident to a safe conclusion, and they are being assisted by the London Fire Brigade and the London Ambulance Service. As we say, anything changes, we will bring you the latest. But he's still there over 3 hours later, and you can see emergency
I wonder if
personnel
they've
there.
closed the bridge now, because before there were quite a few people, weren't there, beneath, but now all you can see, if you're watching on television, all you can see are 2 police officers on the bridge there.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they've maybe closed that down as they try and get him down.
Yeah, you see him waving the flag still there. But well, as I say, anything changes, we will bring you the latest. Now, moving on, because happy International Women's Day, to mark the occasion, we are celebrating one female entrepreneur who has invented a fascinating new app to help families tackle food waste.
Yes, Solveiga Paksteiter has designed the app Mimica, which tells you exactly when food spoils so you can use food longer safely. Solveiga won the coveted James Dyson Award in 2014 for her work, and she joins us now. There she is. Very good morning to you, Solveiga. I want to ask you first about your journey with Mimica and how that came about and how you got involved in the James Dyson Award.
Yes, so I studied product design at university, and I was it was moving into final year where you do your own project, and I was thinking about people with visual impairments, how expiry dates are not very accessible, and I then quickly realized that we're all kind of blind when we to when food really spoils, which is why we're wasting so much. So actually about 70% of the food that we throw away in the UK is still perfectly edible, which when so many people go without seems criminal to me. So I ended up creating a solution, which is a label that changes from smooth to bumpy that goes on packaging to tell you exactly when food spoils. So it's temperature sensitive. It could be adapted to different foods. And so I got encouraged to enter it into the James Dyson Award towards the end of my studies, and I thought I had nothing to lose. I entered and forgot all about it, and 2 weeks into my first job, I got a phone call saying that I'd won, and my life changed forever, and I decided to set up a company called Mimica to take it to the market.
Yeah, so I saw a study recently saying it's a generational thing with food going, binning food that's before it's past its sell-by date. Apparently, Gen Z is our generation. We throw stuff away far too early and end up wasting a lot of money. So I'm sure your business is really helpful for that in terms of making us save cash over the long run, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's about roughly 50-50. Half of the population have blind faith in the expiry date and they do exactly what it says, and then the other half are happy to give things a sniff. But we're all about encouraging the half of the population that just feel like they want a bit of extra reassurance. And what we do is we work directly with food producers to apply this on pack and help them print a longer date based on reasonable storage. We're not trying to replace the date. We're trying to maximize the life that food actually has, and show people.
Now, of course, today is International Women's Day. It's all about celebrating women. Less than a fifth of engineers in the UK are female. So, of course, the James Dyson Award is all about getting female engineers and inventors into that field. What advice would you have for any young women who are looking to kind of go into the same field as yourself?
I think, looking back, I didn't really have too many role models in design and engineering who are female, and I just didn't even picture it. I didn't even consider it as a career choice for me. I actually applied to do psychology at university before I changed my mind and actually decided that I'd give product design a go, and I'm glad that I did. And I think the fact of it is that the stats show that the intelligence of girls and women is the same or sometimes better in terms of academics than males. So I think it's just a confidence thing, and so I'd really like girls who are quite good problem solvers or creative or maybe also good at maths to consider this career choice. And also, if you're a student and have come up with something cool, to enter the James Dyson Award with your idea. Entries open on the 12th, and are open until the 16th of July.
Solveig, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you very much for joining us on GB News. Really appreciate it. We've got lots more to come, including former Atomic Kitten star Natasha Hamilton, more on today's top stories, and a special report from Cameron Walker. Don't go anywhere. This is GB News.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Plenty of hazy sunshine across the UK today. There will be a few showers around, particularly across the far southwest and the far north, but feeling warm for the time of year. Winds coming in from the southwest, drawing in warm air from the near continent. You can see that with the yellows on the map there. Across the whole of the UK, temperatures well above average. Plenty of hazy sunshine across much of the UK, though cloudier skies for parts of Northern Ireland, fringes of Wales and the West Country, where a few showers are possible. Some further spells of rain pushing from Orkney into Shetland through the day as well. But most places dry in that sunshine, temperatures well above average, 16, 17, 18, possibly even 19 Celsius across North Wales into northwest England. So temperatures this time of year should be around 7 to 11 Celsius. Into the evening time, further showers across the Highlands and Islands of Scotland, but most places will be dry. 1 or 2 heavier bursts possible, but generally the rain will be light. Some hazy spells of sunshine ahead of dusk across Northern Ireland as the sun sets here. Plenty of dry weather for much of England and Wales, though still 1 or 2 showers possible in the west from some medium level cloud. Not too much to spoil things. And then a dry evening to come for most. Overnight it stays dry with clear spells and still some further patchy rain across the far north of Scotland. And it remains breezy across southwest England. Elsewhere winds will be light. We could see some mist and fog patches forming, particularly across central southern parts of Scotland, northern England, and here temperatures dropping to around 4 or 5 Celsius. But a sunny start for many. Mist and fog across parts of Scotland, northern England, slowly burning back to the coast through the day, and for most it's a dry day, plenty of sunshine, breezy across the southwest still, but sunnier here compared to Saturday, and rain just still affecting the far north of Scotland. Temperatures again well above average, reaching close to 20 Celsius by the afternoon. See you again soon.
A nice bright morning will generate a lovely warm day, right through to the evening. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
We want to spruce up your spring with an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash that you can spend however you like. But that's not all, as you'll also receive not 1, but 2 brand new designer watches and a fabulous Mulberry handbag. For a chance to win the cash, 2 watches and a designer bag, text cash to 63232. 1 entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, Will, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, good morning. I'm Adam Cherry alongside Sophie Reaper, and this is Saturday Morning Live.
It's absolutely fabulous to be with you this morning. Still lots to come in the next hours, so let's take a look.
Should parents be able to take their children out of school for holidays? Well, protests calling for parents to be granted up to 10 days of authorised leave per year for term time holidays will take place later today in cities across the UK. We're going to be discussing that later on.
Inspecting the troops, we head to the London Central Garrison as the bands of the Household Division receive their annual ceremonial review.
And a developing story this morning. Emergency services have been called to the Palace of Westminster, where a man has scaled one of the buildings. We will keep you up to date with all the latest on that. You can see live footage there from Elizabeth Tower.
And who will be crowned top dog? Crufts 2025 takes place in Birmingham. Our reporter Jack Carson will be there with the latest.
Well, 24,000 dogs entering Crufts, but only one tomorrow night can be crowned best in show. Gun dog category today, judging very much underway.
He's got the best job of the day. What are the celeb secrets behind a glow-up, and what latest trends are the A-listers following to look and feel their best? Well, founder of Celebrity Skin Talk, Scott McGlynn, he's going to be joining us to share the tips and tricks.
And we'll be joined by former Atomic Kitten star Natasha Hamilton to talk about her new solo single, Burning Letters.
And of course, we'll have all the day's top stories with journalist and broadcaster Esther Stanhope and podcast host Lewis Oakley. There they are.
Welcome to Saturday Morning Live, only on GB News.
Very quickly, we're just going to go again to Westminster because emergency services have been called to the palace, where a man is scaling one of the buildings. We've got that live shot there. He's been there for several hours now, since about 7:30 this morning. Video on social media will show the man standing on a ledge, you can see him there, holding a Palestine flag several metres up Elizabeth Tower, which houses Big Ben. Any developments will bring you the latest. At least 9 emergency services vehicles lined Bridge Street in central London. Crowds looking beyond a police cordon. You can see him there holding that Palestine flag.
I think questions will now be asked, of course, about 9 emergency services. What else could they be doing today instead? And I think as well, the guy up there, he's actually got footage on his social media, I believe, showing just how high up he is. And it is actually unbelievable how high he is up there.
It's also unbelievable that he managed to scale it in the first place. It's supposed to be one of the most secure locations in the country. You can see him there filming from the tower. Now, don't forget, we want to hear from you. We would love to hear what you think. Send your views, send your peaks of the week, your highlights of the week, your comments, gbnews.com/your say. But before we do anything else, Lewis Mackenzie has all your news headlines.
Sophie, Adam, thank you very much. Good morning. It's just after 11 o'clock. I'm Lewis Mackenzie here in the GB newsroom. Now, as we've just been hearing some breaking news, a man has climbed Big Ben draped in a Palestinian flag. Police have now closed the bridge both ways. At least 9 emergency service vehicles are at Bridge Street at Parliament, with crowds looking on from beyond a police cordon. The Met Police spokesperson has said officers are at the scene working to bring the incident to a safe conclusion. They are being assisted by the London Fire Brigade and London Ambulance Services. It's reported that the incident started at around 8 a.m. this morning. A pro-Palestine protest is set to begin outside the BBC offices at around 1 p.m. today. It's currently unclear if the two events are related, but of course we will bring you the very latest. Some more breaking news for you now. At least 12 people have been injured during a shooting at a pub in Toronto. 4 victims have non-life-threatening injuries, but the other conditions are yet unknown. Toronto police say the suspect was wearing a black balaclava and was seen fleeing in a silver car and is still at large. The Reform MP Rupert Lowe has been suspended from the party amid allegations he made physical threats against chairman of the party, Zia Youssef. Mr Youssef confirmed the party had also received complaints from 2 female employees about serious bullying in Mr Lowe's parliamentary and constituency offices. In a statement, Mr Lowe said he was disappointed but not surprised to learn of what he said were false allegations. He also says the allegations of bullying at his office are not about him. He is currently taking legal advice. Now, back on track. Eurostar services have resumed today following the full line cancellations due to an unexploded World War II bomb. Operators were forced to cancel all 32 trains scheduled to run between London and Paris after the unwelcome discovery of an an explosive near the railway track in Saint-Denis. Today marks International Women's Day. The annual celebration aims to champion women's achievements across all aspects of life. Speaking at a visit to the RAF Norton, Chancellor Rachel Reeves met with women personnel in the armed forces.
Well, it's fantastic at RAF at Northolt to be able to meet with women personnel in our armed forces on our front line. International Women's Day is an opportunity to celebrate how far we've come, but also as a government, and for me personally as the first ever female Chancellor of the Exchequer, to redouble our efforts to ensure that we have opportunities for women, which is why we are going further and faster on childcare and breakfast clubs to help parents, but particularly women, balance work and family life.
Tropical storm Alfred has made landfall on Australia's eastern coast. Tens of thousands of people have been evacuated, with more than 300,000 homes left without power. The country's Bureau of Meteorology has warned that intense rainfall could lead to flash flooding at many major areas across the country as it moves inland. Authorities in the United States have confirmed that Hollywood actor Gene Hackman died of natural causes a week after his wife Betsy died from hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. It's been claimed that Hackman was not aware his wife had died because of his advanced Alzheimer's. Their bodies were found in their home in New Mexico last week, along with the body of their pet dog. And finally, 4 European brown bears at Whipsnade Zoo have woken up from hibernation. The bears Mana, Minnie, Naya and Cinderella have finally gotten out of bed after 3 months of deep slumber, signalling the start of spring at the UK's largest zoo. Well, those are your latest GB News headlines for now. I'm Lewis Mackenzie. More from me in half an hour's time.
Thanks, Lewis. Excuse me. Now, protests calling for parents to be granted up to 10 days of authorised leave per year for term time holidays will take place later today in cities across the UK.
Yes, the campaign Fight School Fines, which began as a Facebook group in July 2024, argues that parents should have more flexibility when booking family holidays and taking time off for other important life events without facing financial penalties.
Lifestyle journalist and parenting expert Annette Kello joins us now. Annette, thanks for joining us. What's your take on this? Are the parents in the right, or should they really be taking their kids out during holiday, during end of term break?
Good morning. Yes, it's a real interesting one, but I think there are a few problems with it. There are already 443,000 absences per year. And actually, if they did get their policy and everyone could have this time off, holiday companies aren't here for the fun of it. They're going to just up the prices all year round. And I think that's what this is about. A lot of parents want to grab an absolute bargain. And it's kind of selfish because a holiday is a choice. It's not a necessity. One of the other things they talk about is send children also need to have time off. Now, I am a mum of a child who has a disability, so I understand the complex needs with that, but that's a given. You know, that's something to take up with a local authority. It's a you're allowed to have time off if your child has a medical condition. So, yeah.
It's obviously quite a divisive issue, isn't it? It does separate people into two camps. There's people who want to take their kids out during term time to save a bit of cash, and then there's people who think that children should be in school when they're supposed to be in school. How do you think they'll get on with this campaign? Do you think they'll have any success?
Well, I don't think they will, to be honest with you. I think it's too small. And the other thing is it's quite disruptive on the classroom. If you can imagine, I already play catch up because my son has half a day off a week. So I can imagine if that's going on all year round with all the children, trying to keep track of it, sounds an absolute nightmare to me. I mean, personally, I'd rather just go away on holiday on my own without my child and have some relaxation. So that would be my advice to them. Get the granny in. Go away on your own.
Leave them at home. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the inbox will be going wild about that statement and that.
And just one quick question finally. Given the amount of disruption that kids faced throughout the pandemic and the amount of learning time lost, isn't there actually quite a strong argument that you shouldn't be taking your kids out during term time because they're already a little bit behind their elder peers and they need that schooling, they need that education?
Absolutely. I think it's reading and maths. We are the lowest in Europe, so that's a huge problem already. And the other thing is we've had these term dates for hundreds of years and it's always been fine. And no one used to go on about holidays all the time. And suddenly we're in this era where people think and expect to go on holiday, but it's just, it's a choice.
I think more people would advocate for staycations now, wouldn't they? If it's a bit too expensive to go abroad, then maybe explore some of the beauty of the UK. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Annette, as always.
Now, to look through the top stories of today, we are delighted to be joined once again by journalist and broadcaster Esther Stanhope and podcast host Lewis Oakley. Thanks for joining us again, guys.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Shall we get straight into the news here? How about that? Where do we want to go first? We want to talk about Jean Hackman.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is a really tragic story, and to think that they were a week apart in what happened, and what he was suffering with.
Yeah.
I think there's so many things you can take from this story. One of the things that came to me is actually there are lessons to be learnt here, and I know that there are a lot of people, I'm sure, watching as well, that have parents that are ageing and are sort of figuring out how to walk that line of actually now I'm the adult in the room even though you're my parent, and actually I'm going to have to put some safeguards in place for you, and them saying, get out of here, like you're my child.
Yeah.
And you were talking about that recently.
Can we just very quickly give a little bit of context to explain for those who might not have seen the story? So, could you just go through it very quickly? So, Jean Hackman,
obviously, he's 95, and him and his wife were found dead, and people couldn't really figure out what on earth had gone on. And it turns out she had actually died a week before in the house, but he was suffering from Alzheimer's, hadn't, I'm assuming, been able to alert anyone, wasn't really aware of what happened, and he died sort of a week following. So it's a really sad story that they were sort of there on their own devices, and him being so ill, just wasn't in a position to call for help.
Absolutely. Esther, what do you make of this one?
I think it's really sad because, I mean, Alzheimer's can really devastate lives. I'm about to do a trek, actually, with Champions Trekkers. I'm actually raising money for Alzheimer's in a couple of weeks, so it's kind of, it's a subject close to my heart. My mum's also has one of those, she's in her 80s, and she's got one of those emergency clicker things, but she doesn't always wear wear it. And I just think it's such a sad story because I love Gene Hackman, and what a shame his beautiful wife, the pianist, she was in the bath. He didn't even know she was dead. I mean, it's a really sad story, but I would like to remember Gene Hackman. We were talking earlier. I'd like to remember him for his amazing film career. I mean, Lex Luthor from the 1978 to 87. He won the French Connection Best Actor Oscar, given to him by the beautiful Liza Minnelli in the 1971 film French Connection. I love Lex Luthor. I love him in Ants in 1998.
He was in
I love
Ants,
Gene
wasn't he? That's
Hackman.
right.
I love Gene Hackman. But you have a view on the technology side.
Yeah, well, that's my thing. I just think one thing we could focus on in this is technology to support people as they're getting older. And actually, there is some really good technology out there at the moment that can, you can put the sensors in the house, and if they sense inactivity, they will alert people. And there's also things to help with their lifestyle. They can have speakers where they say, have you taken your medication? Or even things with loneliness now, they can say, you haven't spoken to anyone today. Actually, would you like me to call? And I think that we need to have more of a, especially in the UK, where we've got an ageing population, we've got an issue with social care. Actually, we should be looking now at where the technology can really help bridge the gaps. Because it's so awful to think that there wasn't anyone there to care for them.
I just think it's such a sad story, such a tragic story. Actually, going full circle, Crufts is today, but dogs can actually sense. They can help in this. People should have a dog when they're reaching
One of the dogs died, though, didn't they?
I know, but I mean, they did have more than one.
We're a little bit short on time, so we're going to jump to the next story right away. We're going to talk about this story in the Mirror, which is that first-class stamps up 5p to £1.70 despite
another rise
flop.
Another rise.
£1.70 for a stamp. It's a travesty.
You know
what?
The last time I brought stamps was at Christmas, and
That's the only time I've had.
I brought about 15 of them, and then I came out, and my other half, she was like, "How much did that cost?" And I was too embarrassed to tell her because I thought I should have put them back because they was the cost of them was so expensive.
It's unbelievable. Do you think it's bad? Do you think it's bad taste to put Christmas stamps on envelopes? Like the other day, I put a couple of Christmas stamps on an envelope. I feel really out of fashion and embarrassed. Is that bad? What do you think?
Cost.
Exactly. You've got to save the money.
No one's going to look at a stamp and say how out of season and chuck it away.
I felt like it was out of season.
How long is this taking to go?
The cost of a second-class stamp is going up by 2p, 2.4% to 87p as well.
Too much.
The Royal Mail said that they're blaming the need for price increases on rising costs. Shock.
They're trying to balance it, though, aren't they?
The issue is, from what my understanding is, they actually make more of their money now from sending packages. So they sort of, they don't make as much money from the letters. The issue I think they've got, though, is now, and I won't name any of them, but there are lots of other services that can deliver packages for you. Some more efficiently. Some they'll come to your house and pick them up. Or you go and, like the last time at Christmas when I was in the post office, it was like the Wild West in there. Someone had to get taken out. There was a massive queue. People were screaming at each other. Whereas I'd rather just take it to the local supermarket, scan my QR code, and it's done. So I do think they need to look at how they adapt as well.
You know who else is going to be affected by this? Who's going to be affected the most? Are the elderly, because we know that it's maybe something from a bygone era, sending letters, sending post. That is still something that they do. They're going to be hit quite hard by this.
And we always have our bank of stamps. My grandma used to have her bank of stamps, but now my teenage daughter, she never uses any sort of packaging labels. You can just literally go
scan it,
and she goes to Vintage, gets her clothes, takes it to the shop, bing, bing, bing. No stamp, nothing.
Though, I would send more letters. Like, I would love to send more thank you letters, not just cards. But it feels weird to ask for people's address. It feels like stalking, and it's also not socially done now. You would seem odd, but I would keep the post office in business by sending things like that. I love getting
cards.
I like letterboxes.
Nice. Speaking of all this, I've had in the last couple of days in my flat block, everyone's having their post nicked. And people have had in my block, they've had the letterbox pried open. They take all the letters out, and then people have had credit cards opened in their names. So identity theft.
Wow.
So, I think you need more security. That's the real.
I know. I've just remembered that now sitting here as we're talking about all this.
There are postal issues.
There are always
big issue of the day.
When there's cards as well, people open them to see if there's money inside.
Never put money in a card.
That's why postcards. The good old-fashioned postcard with an old Christmas stamp on it. We should do that more often.
I think we've got one more, time for one more. Daily Star, grub in the tub. Brits love their takeaways. But this blows my mind, by the way. Almost half eat them in the bath. What? I can't eat a Chinese in the bath.
I don't like to judge people, but I think that's disgusting.
That is a bit disgusting.
And what is the setup there? Have you got like a floating tray?
No, sorry, what? A bath dinner tray?
Box,
Okay, can I just say, the only time I have consumed something in the bath was I was at a posh hotel and I had a glass of champagne or Prosecco. A glass of Prosecco with a candle, right? No, you can't eat in the bath, but you can drink a nice glass of something with a candle. It's all romantic.
The bath is supposed to be about relaxing to me, and me tucking into like a curry or a kebab or whatever.
In the bath?
What happens if there's crumbs in the bath and then you stand out and you
they all
wash
fall
yourself
in.
again? That's odd. I mean, I'm all for a glass of wine or something in the bath.
Wine is fine.
You don't want crusty old bits of burger in your bath water.
Right, let's move on. We've got to move on. We've got to move on. That's enough of that. That's enough of that. Thank you guys very much. Now, we want to make your spring spectacular. Spring's here. You can see it, can't you? You can feel it in the air. Our latest Great British Giveaway with your chance to win £17,777.
All the sevens.
In tax-free cash, yeah, but that's not all. That's not it. You'll also win not one, but two sought-after designer watches and a designer bag. If you want to look and feel the part this spring, here's all the details you need.
You could have £17,777 in tax-free cash to play with this spring. Cash to spend on anything you like. And if that wasn't enough, we're also going to give you not one, but two sought-after designer watches and the latest Mulberry handbag. How would winning that sound?
Oh my God, that's brilliant news.
For a chance to win the cash, 2 watches and a designer bag, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, thank you to Esther and Lewis. Still to come, we'll be reading out more of your peaks of the week, so send those in, gbviews@gbnews.com, or you can write them in on the website. We'll also be joined by former Atomic Kitten star Natasha Hamilton as she releases her solo single, Burning Letters.
But up next, we'll bring you a special report from our royal correspondent Cameron Walker on the Household Division's inspection. This is Saturday Morning Live, only on GB News.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Angela, what were the benefits you saw working on Strictly? What actually was this revelation to you that you should do more?
Well, I tell you what it was, mainly. It was because I think I've been dancing since I was 5, one way and another. Yes. And I'm now 80, so 75 years I've been dancing. So I've always known, as have dance teachers all over the country, that dance is actually the best form of exercise you can possibly do, because it's not just good for your body, but it's also great for your mind, for your mental health, for your mind, for your happiness, for your outlook on life. And of course, you have to use your brain to remember what you're doing. So it's great for all sorts of things. And so I've known that, and dance teachers have known that, but it's always been sort of under the radar when people have thought about how do I get fit. They sort of think automatically about going to a gym or doing a park run, treadmill, doing all of that. So when I was doing Strictly, I got wonderful reaction from the public. I mean, I was just overwhelmed with a lot of people saying that I'd inspired them to think about dance. And I thought, how can I put these two things together then? And I was listening to Chris Whitty on radio, he's the Chief Medical Officer for England, saying that because the National Health Service is having such financial difficulties, it would help if we all took more responsibility for our own health by, he said, play football, go to a gym. Why not dance, he said. And I thought, that's what I can do. So because I've been involved with dance for a long time, I got in touch with every one of the dance organisations in the country, the ones who look after ballroom dancing, Latin, ballet, street dance, everything, all of them, and all the ballet companies, all the dance companies, and said, if we can get a national day of dance to get that message across, get dance teachers to open their doors and say, come and see what dance can do for you.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Now, don't forget to keep sending in your peak of the week. Peaks of the week, isn't it?
Peaks of the week. Yes.
And also your dog pictures, because it is Crufts and we need an excuse to put dogs on the screen. We've been very successful. We're going to breeze through. So Matthew's dog, Watson, I believe we're going to take a look at. There's Watson. Now, that's me on a Sunday morning.
He's enjoying Saturday Morning Live.
Yeah, he's watching Saturday Morning Live. Hazel and Eunice. Let's take a look at Hazel. Oh, there they are. I was wondering if it was going to be the owner, but it doesn't look like it. And then Joanne's dog, Luna. Luna is coming up. There's Luna.
Oh, that's a very artistic shot of Luna. I love that one.
So Luna's looking out the window for squirrels and other rascals and so on.
Indeed.
Yeah, doing a good job.
Also, keep sending in your peaks of the week. This is one of my favourite ones that we've had in from Anna, who says her peak of the week is a 100-kilogram deadlift personal best at the gym. 100 kilograms.
See, I once tried that about 7 or 8 years ago and actually herniated a disc. That's a true story. Sorry to bring down the peak of the week.
Anna, there you go. You're much stronger than Anna.
You're much stronger than me. Who's
very impressive. But keep sending those in. We want your dog pictures, we want your peaks of the week, and we'll keep reading them out.
Lovely. Now, we are going to... A bit of a gear change, as you say. We always like a gear change, though, because we're going to go straight back to Westminster now. At least 9 emergency service vehicles still there. There he is. He's still there.
He sat down now for anyone watching on television. He's got a bit more casual, comfortable up there.
Yeah. Getting too comfortable. A man, as you can see if you're watching on television, he has climbed Elizabeth Tower. He's been there since about 7:30 this morning, so nearly 4 hours now. He's beyond a police cordon, and of course we're going to come back to this if anything develops throughout the rest of the show and throughout the rest of today's programming. But we're going to move on now. I think we've given him enough attention, haven't we?
Absolutely.
Right. So let's
somewhere else in central London.
Yeah. Very good.
Nice segue,
wow, brilliant. Do you want to go for it?
No, why not? Ahead of a summer of royal pomp and pageantry, British troops have been brushing up on their parade skills to make sure all the planned ceremonial events go off without a hitch.
Yeah, May and June will see hundreds of servicemen and women involved in celebrations around the 80th anniversary of VE Day, and GB News was given for access to the foot guards and bands of the Household Division as they marched onto Wellington's Barracks Parade Ground next to Buckingham Palace for the annual inspection.
Our royal correspondent Cameron Walker joined them.
Summers started early for the Household Division, donning their red tunics a few weeks before the clock change for an annual inspection, making sure they're ready to represent Brand Britain on the world stage.
So make sure on that mark time that these are fully up straight away.
For weeks, guardsmen have waxed their boots, polished their buckles, bearskins groomed and cleaned, exceptional attention to detail. Here's Lieutenant Colonel Charlie Foynet, Brigade Major of the Household Division.
It may seem that what we're doing here is a million miles away from what fighting soldiers do in the field, but these are fighting soldiers. Discipline, attention to detail, really are the hallmarks of a decent soldier.
All this at a time the Prime Minister's considering sending peacekeeping troops to Ukraine. The Princess of Wales's regiment, the Irish Guards, were first onto the parade ground at Wellington Barracks, followed by the Coldstream Guards, trooping their colour this year in front of the King and celebrating their 375th anniversary.
Do off the hard work of the last couple of months of getting ready for this. Make sure you show yourselves off.
It's these guardsmen who could be welcoming President Donald Trump during his unprecedented second state visit to the UK. And some of them will be taking part in commemorations this summer, marking 80 years since the end of the Second World War.
I just wanted to express, on behalf of the nation, my heartfelt gratitude for the extraordinarily valuable contributions and personal sacrifices that you and your families continue to make in the name of duty.
The King takes his role as head of the armed forces very seriously. Earlier this week, he visited British aircraft carrier HMS Prince of Wales, calling it a powerful emblem of the Royal Navy's strength. And his household division will show its strength during the King's birthday parade in June. But beneath the pomp and pageantry, battle-ready soldiers are always on guard in an uncertain world. Cameron Walker, GB News in London.
Well, thank you very much for that, Cameron Walker. Now, we can go live back to Jack Carson at Crufts to get the latest.
Let's see. Hello, Jack. What's the latest? What's going on?
Good morning to you. Well, good morning to you both. Judging well underway. 24,000 dogs competing at Crufts. Only one can be best in show. And we've been trying to find some winners, and we have found one. David Underdown. You won the Good Citizen class, I believe it was?
That's correct, yeah. So we won the Good Citizen class, and to win Good Citizens you have to first qualify a minimum of bronze level before you can participate in that class. So there's a lot that goes into sort of preparation before you can even compete at that level.
And introduce us to Jasper.
So this is Jasper. So he won the class. He's 4 years old, Hungarian Vizsla. And this is Dexter, who's 3 years old, and he won 5th place out of 15 in postgraduate. And he will give you some kisses.
Well, Dexter has a very special talent. As Dexter tried this way, you don't work with animals. Dexter has a very special talent. Let's see Dexter's special talent now. There we go. So Dexter can sing. Dexter can sing as well as try and interrupt live television. So there we go. He's got all the kind of skills you need. So Jasper was the winner. And how much does that mean to you to come here and have won something today?
It's amazing. I mean, this is our second time at Crufts. So we couldn't show last year because our breeder was actually judging the class at Crufts last year. But this is our second time, and he's won his class, and I'm thrilled. So the first time he got placed third place in his class. So it's a step in the right direction, and really, really proud of him.
David, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much to Jasper and Dexter for trying to interrupt that. Everything is going on at Crufts here. It is another fantastic day.
Well, congrats to David, and thank you so much to Jasper and Dexter for joining us here on Saturday Morning Live. And thank you to you, Jack, for bringing us all the latest there from Crufts.
We'll have more from Crufts throughout the day. I suspect, I think Jasper wants... Dexter. Dexter wants a job with us by the looks of things.
He's a better singer than me.
Well, I mean, he's better than me as well. We'll get him on here. Now, anyway, moving on, because as Christians across the world observe Lent, we will be bringing you daily reflections from ministers around the United Kingdom, and here is today's message.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, I'm Chris Tufnell, the vicar of Uterbridge Parish Church. So much of religion can seem to be about virtue signalling, people trying to show others, and perhaps themselves, that they're good. Recently, I took my car to the garage for a service. Now, this garage usually throws in a free car wash with the service, but this year the receptionist said, "We're now giving our customers a choice. You can either have your car washed, or we'll plant a tree for you. Which would you like, Mr. Tufnell?" Well, I couldn't help but laugh out loud at the moral pressure I was under. I'll let you guess which I chose, but I wonder which you'd have chosen. And even more interestingly, I wonder why you'd have chosen it. Virtue signalling is exactly the sort of thing Jesus criticized in his Sermon on the Mount, the most famous speech ever given, including specifically when it comes to the Christian practice of fasting, which many do during Lent. According to Jesus, his followers shouldn't do good to look good, but out of love for God. Virtue signalling actually grows from a place of anxious insecurity. But anyone who trusts in Jesus is given the status of a child of God, accepted not because of anything we do, but because of what Jesus has done.
Lots more to come on the show today, but first let's get the news headlines with Lewis Mackenzie.
Sophie, Adam, thank you very much. Good morning. It's just after 11:30. I'm Lewis Mackenzie here in the GB newsroom. Let's start with some breaking news for you now. A man has climbed Big Ben draped in a Palestinian flag. At least 9 emergency service vehicles are at Bridge Street at Parliament, with crowds looking on from beyond a police cordon. A Metropolitan Police spokesperson says officers are at the scene working to bring the incident to a safe conclusion. They are being assisted by the London Fire Brigade and London Ambulance Services. It's reported the incident started at around 8 a.m. this morning. A pro-Palestine protest is set to begin outside the BBC offices at around 1 p.m. today, but it's currently unclear if the two events are related. We'll, of course, bring you the very latest as we have it. At least 12 people have been injured during a shooting at a pub in Toronto. 4 victims have non-life-threatening injuries, but the others' conditions are yet unknown. Toronto police say the suspect was wearing a black balaclava and was seen fleeing in a silver car and is still at large. The Reform MP Rupert Lowe has been suspended from the party amid allegations he made physical threats against the party chairman, Zia Youssef. Mr Youssef confirmed the party had also received complaints from 2 female employees about serious bullying in Mr Lowe's parliamentary and constituency offices. In a statement, Mr Lowe said he was disappointed but not surprised to learn of what he said were false allegations. He also said that the allegations of bullying at his offices are not about him. He's currently seeking legal advice. And some breaking news. 1 migrant has died as more than 150 others attempted to get to the UK today. It marks the 8th day of small boat crossings. It takes the total number who have crossed since last Saturday to around 1,900 and has shattered all previous records for the number of migrant arrivals at this point any year since the crisis began in 2016. That's at this point the year since the crisis began in 2016. Well, those are your latest GB News headlines for now. There's more from me in half an hour's time.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
Aaron, this is a mad idea.
The future is bold. The future is hard, and it requires mad ideas. And we're proud to be bold and thought-provoking.
How are you going to make money out of this?
Well, the Olympics make $4.5 billion in revenue per Olympic cycle, and they're a wildly profitable organization that has never been challenged. So we're very proud to take them on and create something better and more efficient. It's not well known, but 44% of Olympians admit to using banned performance-enhancing substances, according to research funded by the International Olympic Committee and published in a top-tier scientific journal. It's absolutely rife. So 44% of elite athletes admit to using banned substances, only 1% get caught.
Would this not encourage the production of harder drugs, though? You know, steroids that go that bit further?
Absolutely, right? And the goal is to create an environment where research and development are openly celebrated rather than being done in secret. When things are done in the open, we can study those compounds, and the drugs that allow athletes to run faster and jump higher are the same drugs that will allow all of us to be younger and faster and stronger for longer.
If, as you say, 44% of Olympians are actually using this stuff anyway, secretly behind the scenes in a sort of hidden and unregulated way, would it actually look that much different to you or I sitting in the stand watching people run 100 metres? Would they actually do it much faster?
Yeah, because you could have athletes who are in their 30s, maybe even in their 40s, breaking world records. And we're already seeing that with our athletes that we have in training. It's absolutely exceptional. If almost half of Olympians are already using banned substances, they're doing so in secret. They're not using the best available compounds. They're not doing it under clinical supervision. They're doing it to beat the drug testing, not to optimize their results.
The People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, welcome back to your Saturday Morning Live. Now, with summer soon to be on the horizon, thankfully, everyone is keen to look and feel their best.
Well, taking care of your skin and body is one of the best ways to get in shape for the warmer days ahead. But what are the celeb secrets behind a glow-up? And what latest trends are the A-listers following to look and feel their best? Well, joining us now to share some of those secrets is the founder of Celebrity Skin Talk, Scott McGlynn. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
Right, so...
Spill it. Tell us all your secrets.
Well, the main thing is hydration, OK? We've heard it so many times before. Having water daily is a must. I'll have 15 cups of water a day. It's a must.
What size cup are we talking? Like one of these little ones?
Well, the regular, you know, a bit more bigger than that.
A bit bigger than that.
Okay. Yes.
Well, I knew you were coming, Scott, so I
Right.
came prepared today so you wouldn't tell me off. I've got my big bottle of water.
Check it out.
2 of these a day.
Yeah, and yours is time, which is really cool.
Yeah,
I like
it is. It has all my times. I am slightly behind, but then I have been presenting the news show for the last hour and 40 minutes. So,
so you're
I'm cracking on. Aside from water, what else can we be doing to protect our skin? That's the thing that I'm really big on. I wear Factor 50 on my face every day.
Really? Every
single
day? So even
day.
in the winter?
Yeah. No matter what, because the UV is still coming through, isn't it? No matter what time of year it is. So it's so important. I'm 27 now. Give my age away on the telly there. But I'm 27 and I think skincare at a young age is so important. So please agree with me and say... Please tell me I'm doing the right
So hydration, what else do we need to do?
Well, the hydration, the SPF is a good point, OK? So I'm Celtic all over. So I'm Welsh, Scottish, Irish, so me and the sun do not go on.
Likewise,
So I'm always a 50 person anyway. If it's raining, snowing, whatever the weather, still wear your SPF. It's a must. And people do not know that the UV rays from our phones, our flat screens, TVs, this is aging us daily.
Our phones are aging us.
It's a shield, a protection. You need that bouncing off our skin, right? That's a big thing, SPF. But I'm always the person who will go, simple is better, less is more. If you've got a good cleanser, a nice gel cleanser, glowy cleanser, collagen cleanser, great. You know, a serum, a vitamin C is a great little boosting for a nice glow. And a moisturiser, a nice clean moisturiser. Korean and Japanese has a lot of rice cleansers and moisturisers now, and it's so good. Very gentle on the skin for all skin types. So it's really good.
But Scott, are there any lotions and potions that the A-listers are using that we don't know about?
Simple, are they?
Yeah, the stuff that's keeping them young. Because why does Brad Pitt at the age of 60 look about like he's 25? What's going on?
He looks the same.
Yeah, I don't know, like Sandra Bullock's another one. She's looking absolutely incredible. I don't know what her secret is. I've heard a couple of facials before she's had in the past, which was a penis facial, guys. That was a thing.
Well, hold on a minute.
I think Kate Blanchett...
Hold on a minute, Scott. Wait. Hold on. What is that? Okay, right, never mind. Let's just move on. What does that mean?
Oh, no, it's a treatment they have.
Is that what we're calling it?
That's what they have, yes. It's not what it seems, but yes, it's definitely just a clinic.
It is a clinical, right,
Yes.
Yeah.
But the massive thing, especially just because the Oscars have just been done, a massive thing has been the fish sperm.
Really?
You say it so casually.
Well, you know, I will always try something. You know, if it's working for them, why not?
Working for them, yeah.
So yes, it uses the salmon sperm.
Wow.
And it's a serum or injectable, yeah.
I know the Kardashians, well, they have the vampire facial where they have their own blood injected back into their face, don't they?
Yeah.
I just think there's factor 50 every day, and then there's things like that.
But like Scott says, keep it simple.
Yeah. So top 3 things then.
Yeah.
For our viewers at home, top 3 things for their skin that they can do to make a dramatic difference. Go. 1, 2, 3.
Cleanser, 100% is a must. A nice moisturiser, and then SPF is always
strong.
And water as well.
Water
Drink
all the
water.
time. It's free. It's free.
Exactly.
Yeah, come on, no
it's
excuses.
Easy. Yeah, exactly.
Scott, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
I'm going to look into a fish sperm now.
Well,
see if we can source a bit of that.
Let us know how it goes.
Young. If you notice next week I'm looking fresher, you'll
we'll
know
have questions,
why.
won't we? Yeah. We'll be joined in the studio soon, still to come. We're going to be joined in the studio by former Atomic Kitten star Natasha Hamilton. But first, if you're in search of some winter sun, here is the forecast of some the top European holiday destinations.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're curious about what the weather's doing further afield, well, across the Mediterranean, there's a lot of unsettled weather at the moment, especially Iberia into the south of France. But for Greece, mostly fine, sunny spells, still a bit of a breeze for the Greek islands. Italy, towards the south, yes, plenty of settled weather, but towards the north and northwest, as well as the south of France, unsettled, but not as unsettled as Portugal, Spain, Gibraltar, Madeira, where heavy showers and strong winds will be continuing through the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Plenty of hazy sunshine across the UK today. There will be a few showers around, particularly across the far southwest and the far north, but feeling warm for the time of year. Winds coming in from the southwest, drawing in warm air from the near continent. You can see that with the yellows on the map there. Across the whole of the UK, temperatures well above average. Plenty of hazy sunshine across much of the UK, though cloudier skies for parts of Northern Ireland, fringes of Wales and the West Country, where a few showers are possible. Some further spells of rain pushing from Orkney into Shetland through the day as well. But most places dry in that sunshine, temperatures well above average, 16, 17, 18, possibly even 19 Celsius across North Wales into northwest England. So temperatures this time of year should be around 7 to 11 Celsius. Into the evening time, further showers across the Highlands and Islands of Scotland, but most places will be dry. 1 or 2 heavier bursts possible, but generally the rain will be light. Some hazy spells of sunshine ahead of dusk across Northern Ireland as the sun sets here. Plenty of dry weather for much of England and Wales, though still 1 or 2 showers possible in the west from some medium level cloud. Not too much to spoil things. And then a dry evening to come for most. Overnight it stays dry with clear spells and still some further patchy rain across the far north of Scotland. And it remains breezy across southwest England. Elsewhere winds will be light. We could see some mist and fog patches forming, particularly across central southern parts of Scotland, northern England, and here temperatures dropping to around 4 or 5 Celsius. But a sunny start for many. Mist and fog across parts of Scotland, northern England, slowly burning back to the coast through the day. And for most, it's a dry day, plenty of sunshine. Breezy across the southwest still, but sunnier here compared to Saturday. And rain just still affecting the far north of Scotland. Temperatures again well above average, reaching close to 20 Celsius by the afternoon. See you again soon.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
They catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Now, our final guest today is a pop music sensation, formerly a member of legendary girl band Atomic Kitten.
But now, star Natasha Hamilton has gone solo, and her latest single, Burning Letters, is out now. Let's take a listen.
Well, we're delighted to be joined by Natasha in the studio now to talk all about that and all things Atomic Kitten.
Yes.
Yes, very
Good morning.
exciting. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk first about the track. We've just heard a little bit of it there. What's the inspiration? How does it feel?
Well, I mean, this is a very personal story because I was in a relationship that had come to an end and, you know, when you're like, let's just have that meeting, that one last chat to put, you know, all our differences aside. And I was expecting to meet for a chat, and when I opened the front door, his key was on the mat. Like, he'd literally come and done a flit, got his stuff and left.
Done a runner?
Yeah, I didn't want to face me.
So you never got that kind of closure?
I never got the closure. I felt sick. I got like this gut punch. I ran to the fridge. I poured a big glass of wine and cried a lot. And that's kind of how the song came about. I wanted to create a song with my co-writer, Paul Fisser, like that really made people feel how I felt at the time. And I think we did that with this one.
Do you take a lot of inspiration from kind of your own past life experiences then when you're writing?
I do now. I mean, with Atomic Kitten, I spent 20+ years singing somebody else's lyrics.
Right.
So for me to write my own stories and my own life lessons and sing about it, it just hits differently and it's quite cathartic and
freeing, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's a bit like therapy.
I was going to ask about that, with the difference between being in a band for so long and now going on a solo career. So that's really interesting. Obviously, you're singing other people's songs. So do you sort of feel like a sort of band for hire? Or do you know what I mean? You turn up and sort of sing the songs that someone else created for you? Is
not
that
really. I mean,
not the wrong way of putting it. Do you know what I mean? But this is now much more personal.
There's an emotional connection to your own
That's what I mean. Yeah.
lyrics. If I wrote Whole Again, I would probably cry like every time I sang it, even though it touches me. There's like that disconnect. Like, being a singer, you have to also be a bit of an actor because you have to portray the feelings of the song.
Yeah.
But when it's your own words, it just hits differently.
And what is it like? Have you performed it live anywhere yet?
I have.
And what was that like? Did you get emotional on stage or...?
I didn't. It's a bit of a belter and it's quite nice to be able to step forward and show people what I've got.
Yeah.
I'm 20+ years into my career and, you know, people still say today, oh, I didn't know you could sing like that. I think being part of a girl band can be quite restrictive in a way that you all have to blend in and be a certain way when you sing, whereas now I can just freely perform the way I want to.
Should we talk a bit about Atomic Kitten?
Let's do it.
Because that was the start of your career and it was a huge part of your life.
Yeah.
What was that like being in there as part of that group? I imagine there's such a bond. Mental.
Chaos.
I can imagine.
So much fun. We were sisters. We were thrown together. We were in each other's pockets every day for 5 years. We experienced some of life's incredible highs together and also lots of lows. As much as we would really irritate each other, we also always had each other's backs and were always there. And we still are. I mean, I speak to Liz and Jenny all the time. I'm going to see Jenny in 2 weeks over in Ibiza. And when we get together, we reminisce, we laugh. Like, we did have this crazy roller coaster ride of the most incredible life experience. We were so young.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, when that's happening so long.
I look at my kids and I'm like, there's no way I'd want you, you know, running off and doing all the crazy things that we did, just from the perspective of... It is very young. As a parent now, I think, God, what must have my parents thought when I was just never around? And, OK, phones weren't like they were now. So there was a lot of time spent away where they didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Was there a time when you even going outside, or when fame happens so quickly, so young, do you become more self-conscious in a way? Everyone's looking at you.
It was quite frightening.
Yeah.
You think of random things when... journalists would turn up at my mum and dad's house because they didn't really know what to do. They were just like, oh, hi, come in, give them a cup of tea. But then my mum would be like, hang on a minute, I don't know if I should be doing this, and phone management, and management would be like, get out of the house, like, that's so rude, you shouldn't be doing that. And there'd be people waiting outside our houses in vans just to get a picture of us, like, looking rubbish.
Yeah, but then...
Crazy journey. And, of course, for you, it's not over. You brought out a new single, and I believe you're launching your own record label.
Yes. So I have launched all my music under my own label, which is Morpho Records. I'm an independent artist. The reason there wasn't a full video for Burning Letters is because didn't have the budget at the time. Spent it on other things, more important things. But it's been such a journey. Morpho Records has been going for like just close to a year. I'm the first artist on the label, but I will be signing like grassroots, new up-and-coming artists and nurturing them and trying to keep them away from the pitfalls that I had to go through.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Natasha. It's quite a career you've had, and looks like there's still so much more to come. Well, you'll have to come in once you've signed a few grassroots. You'll have to come back in and tell us all about it. Bring them with you. So thank you so much, and thank you guys at home for joining us here on Saturday Morning Live once again.
Now, don't go anywhere, as Dawn Neeson is up next. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Plenty of hazy sunshine across the UK today. There will be a few showers around, particularly across the far southwest and the far north, but feeling warm for the time of year. Winds coming in from the southwest, drawing in warm air from the near continent. You can see that with the yellows on the map there. Across the whole of the UK, temperatures well above average. Plenty of hazy sunshine across much of the UK, though cloudier skies for parts of Northern Ireland, fringes of Wales and the West Country, where a few showers are possible. Some further spells of rain pushing from Orkney into Shetland through the day as well. But most places dry in that sunshine, temperatures well above average, 16, 17, 18, possibly even 19 Celsius across North Wales into northwest England. So temperatures this time of year should be around 7 to 11 Celsius. Into the evening time, further showers across the Highlands and Islands of Scotland, but most places will be dry. 1 or 2 heavier bursts possible, but generally the rain will be light. Some hazy spells of sunshine ahead of dusk across Northern Ireland as the sun sets here. Plenty of dry weather for much of England and Wales, though still 1 or 2 showers possible in the west from some medium level cloud. Not too much to spoil things. And then a dry evening to come for most. Overnight it stays dry with clear spells and still some further patchy rain across the far north of Scotland. And it remains breezy across southwest England. Elsewhere winds will be light. We could see some mist and fog patches forming, particularly across central southern parts of Scotland, northern England, and here temperatures dropping to around 4 or 5 Celsius. But a sunny start for many. Mist and fog across parts of Scotland, northern England, slowly burning back to the coast through the day. And for most, it's a dry day, plenty of sunshine. Breezy across the southwest still, but sunnier here compared to Saturday. And rain just still affecting the far north of Scotland. Temperatures again well above average, reaching close to 20 Celsius by the afternoon. See you again soon.
A nice bright morning will generate a lovely warm day, right through to the evening. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
You could have £17,777 in tax-free cash to play with this spring. Cash to spend on anything you like. And if that wasn't enough, we're also going to give you not 1, but 2 sought-after designer watches and the latest Mulberry handbag. How would winning that sound? For a chance to win the cash, 2 watches and a designer bag, text cash to 63232. 1 entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, Will, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, there you are. It's midday on Saturday, the 8th of March. I've got no idea where the month's going either. This is the weekend on GB News. Cracking show coming up for you. Your main stories. The reform scandal surrounding MP Rupert Lowe continues as the party on top of the polls is thrown into turmoil. This morning, their chief whip, Lee Anderson, has come out saying they've got a monumental task on their hands. And Russia kills at least 14 as they continue to hit the Ukraine with strikes. But as 3 people are convicted for Russian espionage on UK soil, can we really trust Putin to find any peace whatsoever? And a developing story, this emergency services have been called to the Palace of Westminster or Big Ben as well.